All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market show. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. I hope you had a great day yesterday. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Carlos. I hope you can hear me this morning.
Yeah, I can. Let's hope everybody else could hear you. So
Good.
hopefully things are, we're getting away from that sound issue as we get further and further getting familiar with this new system. All right, guys. Good morning. Hope everyone's had a pretty good day yesterday. I'm going to just mute this over here. So a lot of people are asking where is Norm. So by the way, Norm is he's getting close to closing on his house. He's got a lot of stuff with the moving and things like that, and he actually is staying at a place right now in the interim. Abby was asking who is Norm. He's staying at a place right now where the connection is just horrible. So we definitely do miss him, and he'll be back whenever he's ready. All right, guys. So here's what we have today. Both sides are just incredible right now. Both we have two big gappers lists. We have one right here on gapping up and gapping down, looking huge at the moment. And we'll get to them in a second. A lot of the stuff that we've been watching lately, airlines, as you can see here, and cruise lines are all down quite a bit today on some single digits, not double. And then you have some other ones here that are really taking a hit. IMRN, we'll get into that one, and also SSL. They were gapping up huge over the last couple of days, but they're down big numbers today. So we'll look at that. And then if we look at our gapping up list today, just tons of stuff in the green and a lot of tickers that I have not seen. In quite a bit on here, right? So AMC is a good one. Some other ones here that we have not seen. So let's try to get through the best part of this list if we can. But we have definitely had quite a bit going on today. Peter, let's get to the market pulse and kind of get a feel for what the market is doing today.
Yeah, well, look, the big news for today is certainly going to be the federal budget and the FOMC meeting that's happening at 2 o'clock. The press conference officially starts at 2:30, but usually they release the minutes and notes before that. So we can expect this afternoon to see the markets, react. Like no idea what the information is going to be, so we can't tell which direction it's going to react. But usually between 2 and probably about 3:30 or so, as the press conference is going on and the minutes are digested, we usually see a lot of movement. So just be careful if you're in a trade this afternoon and keep that in mind. Right now, the markets are up marginally. In international markets, overnight, we were seeing actually a fair amount of movement as if yesterday you noticed that oil stocks were moving. We were seeing that continue through the early morning trading, and I guess it's the day trading in other markets because the North American markets are one of the last ones to open. Right now, things are generally up, but we do sort of have a mixed sort of view, I guess, to all of the markets. Interesting, just following on from yesterday, we may see some continuation, and we'll talk about some of these in our gappers. As yesterday had some interesting movement on a couple of things, a lot of flat movement on others. So today could be, it's going to be one of those days. I think that'll go either way, right? We'll either have very little happen as everybody just sits and waits for the FOMC minutes, and then we'll just get reaction to that, which will be hard to trade, or we're going to see things start to reposition themselves in advance of it. So once the opening bell rings, I guess we'll all find out together.
Yeah, yep. So definitely looking forward to that. It's going to cause some action this morning for sure. All right, guys, let's get to it with no delay because we have quite a lot to go through today on this gappers list. I'm going to remove what we have here. We won't look at what we had yesterday on our watch list, but again, just tons of stuff moving very well yesterday as well. Let's get into what's gapping up this morning. So let's look at the top five here. Then we'll look at the airlines and cruise lines. They seem to be leading what's gapping down here. But let's look at the top five, and then we'll see some other ones on here if we can get to them. Up on the list, we have Lake. So Lake this morning up 40%, 248,000 shares traded right now. So get up quite a bit. Pre-market wise, though, we're not seeing anything all that exciting just yet, but it is early, only 8:35 Eastern time. Let's give this a little bit of time to get going. But for the most part, some pretty big volume on this. Now they are a low float, sitting at 7.6, so pretty low in that area.
Yeah, Lake was an earnings play from last night. They released their earnings and they did beat their estimates, which is why you're seeing it jump so significantly.
Yep. Okay. We'll definitely keep an eye on this one again. Pretty active right now, as you can see. And yeah, you're right. Right at the close here, after hours, a huge pop, which is creating most of the percentage gain this morning. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Take a look at APT. APT is up 18%, 157. This one also not the greatest pre-market action. The float on this one sitting right at 12 million. So also another low float that's popping up pretty decent this morning. Now this one we have taken a look at the past. If you guys remember going back into February, March at time frame, this thing was a great runner, ran for 3 days and had this incredible gap up here and then the huge sell-off. And after that, it's just been pretty choppy. It has had a couple of days where you can see a nice pop here. Today could be that type of day where you have a significant pop. You had one here, you had one here, and today could be another one. But for the most part right now, pre-market needs to get just a little bit better. We do have 158. A lot of that volume sitting on this one candle here, this 55,000, not creating a whole lot of movement in the rest of the pre-market action. So that would be APT. We'll throw that on here. And Peter, cut me in if you have any significant news or catalysts on any of these ones that we're watching this morning.
Yeah, I got nothing, oddly, nothing on APT. It is a Canadian company, building products company. I don't see any news on it, so I don't know what's driving it, which, would just mean for me, I'm not likely to trade it at all.
Yeah. Same here, man. Anything especially with a low flow stock, you got to be extra cautious. And if you don't have a strong catalyst behind it, it can be even more scary to try to trade. This GUNS just popped up here. It's no longer here, or what's happened here? It was just on our list. So GUNS right on here right now at the moment. Yeah, right. It is still up 25%. It has 10,000 shares. Sorry, 10 million shares, excuse me, traded so far. So I'm not sure why that disappeared. But either way, this is on here. It's got a good pre-market activity. Yep.
The price just dropped below $5. That's why.
Oh, we do. But we have seen stocks below $5. So we'll have to check that, because I believe we have. But we'll see. So again, this one here, guys, up 25%, 10 million shares traded so far. So again, very active, good pre-market action. The float on this one, let me just double check what we have for GUNS. I'm sorry, GNUS, excuse me, GNUS, 23 million shares traded. So borderline, guys. Not sure what you think about it.
Back on our list, Carlos.
It's back on
exactly $5 again.
Oh, so that's what it is. So maybe we gotta check that, because I thought we have seen stuff under $5 here, because I'm usually saying, oh, you know what, maybe from the stuff that people throw at me when we're looking at it, that could be it. All right, so we'll keep it on here, guys. Very active right now. Great pre-market action. Slightly up, 23 million shares float. So we'll keep an eye on it. All right, let's take a look at the one we have next here. Is MITT. This morning, pre-market action all over the place. Had a couple of really good days. Looks like Monday was nice. Sold off yesterday. Back up this morning 17%. Let's take a look how the intraday action is on this stock. So yesterday,
Carlos, this is a REIT. This is the REIT fund.
It is.
Just be aware of it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's funny. It's a refund, but if you look at the action, right, just without looking at the actual movement, the charts look great for the intraday play. But for the most part, that could be with a very low volume, so it might not be all that great. So I'm going to skip on that one, guys. They usually don't trade all that well. Here's AMC. It's a lot of news on AMC, possibly reopening and things like that, getting back into the business here. They are up 14%. Pre-market action, not all that exciting right now, but this is one I want to keep an eye on, because it's one of those stocks and companies that, as we continue to lift some of these bans that we have, like in Jersey today, they're lifting a ban as well pretty soon. So that's going to help a lot of these business start opening up again. So this one could be a nice one to watch. For the most part, pre-market action all over the place, but we do have a nice pop here this morning with 302,000. What else? We have a QLGN this morning. This one, horrible pre-market action, 222,000 shares traded right now. But look at the pre-market activity, guys. It's just not anything great. So I'm just going to skip on this, because we do have so many this morning. I want to get through as many as possible and just take the best ones. But Peter, if you see something in here that has a great catalyst, let's look at it. FMCI. Yep. This one's okay. We'll throw it on here, FMCI. So for the most part right now, 153,000. We do have a okay pre-market activity. Again, we're not seeing great pre-market activity out of the stuff that's gapping up this morning. So let's take a look at what we have so far. GNUS.
FMCI.
Yeah.
It's what have you got for a float on that? See, I've got that there's 21 million outstanding, but only a float of about 1 million shares. This is like it's actually listed as a shell company, so I'd be
Mm-hmm.
very cautious on it. It's one of those that may move just very erratically.
Yeah, I'm seeing 20 on trade ideas. So again, that's very far off from one. So not sure what's going on there.
Yeah.
But again, even with that said, just look at the pre-market action, right? Even if that information was correct, 20 is a good number. It's still not looking all that exciting. So again, nothing great on the gapping up list so far. Tesla, what we got going on with Tesla right now? Now this is what I'm talking about.
Look,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we gotta talk Tesla. I mean, Tesla overnight decided it was going to make a push at the thousand
Wow.
dollar mark. It got close. I think 997 was about the highest I saw, maybe 998. So it's getting close. I mean, we were talking about this on Monday, breaking the $1,000 mark, and it got to a high pre-market of 998.52. So we
Wow.
are absolutely within spitting distance here. So and there's no particular news. It's just the excitement, Tesla, and then of course we've seen other companies like NKLA move. It's all speculation about them entering into this truck market and providing sort of new vehicles. So I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. The news behind it, Teslas, we know, can run at any point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, looking pretty good right now, guys. The best pre-market activity we have seen this morning, definitely on our list. The only issue with Tesla is just how expensive it is now. Sitting at 999, $92. I mean, it's just very, very expensive stock to trade. Let's head on down to APTV this morning. They also starting to get going right now. 348,000 shares traded. They're up 4.7. They look like a foreign stock, though. I have to say their daily looks a little bit choppy, not as clean, and the volume, guys, very light for the most part on any given day. Yesterday, they had a decent day, 7 million shares traded. Nice drop here, and their pre-market starting to get going. But overall, I think they're not the best candidate. So I'm going to put it down here on AP
Yeah.
TV.
APTV is an Irish company, an Irish auto parts company. It's moving on announcement of a secondary offering.
With that said, I'm going to just remove it completely. I don't like the secondary offering stuff. They usually tend not to trade very well, and also they don't match. And one of the comments that we're going back and forth on both chats, YouTube and our chat room, was our style of trading, right? So there's some stocks that even though they're moving, they're active. A penny stocks or any stocks that are moving in a certain way, they might just not fit our trading styles and the strategies that we look for every day. So you might see something where other people are watching certain stock and they're really focused on it. We might not have it on our list just because it does not fit our trading style. Let's look at GMAB this morning. So GMAB, this one is 626. So got some good volume on here. We're up 3.6 pre-market on the 5 minute, not looking great right now. Looks very choppy, and most of the volume sitting on these two candles here, which is creating no movement whatsoever on these two here. You have one candle for 194, another one for 146. Again, just not looking all that great. It is early. Hopefully it can get better. The daily overall has a very, very light volume. Just noticing that could be another foreign stock as well. So unless there's some,
It is.
it is all right. So unless some,
It's a Danish biotech. They do have news though.
mhm.
They've partnered with AbbVie on a deal for a cancer treatment. So that certainly could give it a boost today.
Okay, okay. So we'll give it a fair shot here. Let's put it down on our possibles. Let's see what we can get out of that. COTY this morning, nothing great here, guys. Horrible pre-market action, 178 up 3.5, but again, nothing looking all that good. CLDR, this one could be a sleeper, man. It can trade very well and it can be very choppy. It's like it can go from both extremes, from 0 to 60 very fast. So look at yesterday, nothing in the pre-market action, but did an amazing trading day, and several pops right here that pretty out of nowhere. Look at the volume coming in here, 3 million shares on this one candle. The next pop was another 3.5 million shares traded here. So again, something around 12:30, 1 o'clock here really got this going. Not sure if you have any news on it, but the daily does look interesting. So I want to keep an eye on this one.
I mean, they had recent earnings, but that's almost, it's sort of history now because that was a
Yeah.
few days ago. I
Okay.
don't see anything specific on them. And look at that daily, like you pointed out, like it's at an area now that if it pops above that,
Hmm.
I think that's heading to all-time highs, but it's certainly at a critical area right there. Um, Yeah, it's just like you said, looking at that yesterday, it looks exciting, but big candles like that come completely out of nowhere tell me this moves on information that I would not be aware of, and the risk is you'll get caught on one that's just as violent in the direction against you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Absolutely.
I don't
If
like that.
today, yeah, definitely don't like that. If today can trade a little bit cleaner, maybe. But again, I do like where the daily's at now, as you mentioned as well. I mean, it's at a nice critical point here. This seems to be their all-time high. We'll have to see how this plays out. Right now, pre-market action 219. It is a little bit choppy, just kind of going sideways a bit here. So let's take a look at it a little bit later, see how that's looking as we continue moving forward here. INO this morning up 2.2. Also, pre-market action not looking all that great. 134,000 shares traded. Now, this is one, guys, that can trade on some really heavy volume for the most part. Almost 30 million shares daily, right? Even when it's not in play, not doing anything, just moving sideways. So it's very heavy on volume. Right now, 134 seems like almost nothing for this type of stock. Let's look at what's gapping down. I'm not going to add this one. Let's see what's gapping down this morning.
So, Carlos,
Yeah.
maybe before you go to gapping down, just two notes. One on Cloudera, just finding some news here. It looks like there's rumors that they could have suitors as buyers, which is probably what's driving some of those big spikes up. IBM is rumored to be a potential buyer, but they have not commented. So, like I said, those gaps could go down if IBM comes out with a statement and says we are not interested. Likely,
Mm-hmm.
it could also go up if they issue the opposite. So be
Right.
very
Right.
careful if you're considering a trade on CLDR. One for a gap up that you may want to consider is VRM. It was actually an IPO yesterday, so it won't be on your list probably because they don't have a number of shares listed, which usually
Mm-hmm.
doesn't put it on our list if they don't have a float. But I traded it from 41 to 48 yesterday. I guess I could have held some overnight, as I would have been up another $4 or $5, as it's opening at around 51 so far. But it actually moved well yesterday, and as a second day play, I'm starting to get more interested in IPO second day plays. So I'll just be having it on my list.
Excellent. You know what? I'm gonna throw this on as well. I usually do not watch these ones, but again, what's that? VRM, right? VRM. So
VRM.
yep. So this one, yeah, you look at it yesterday, you're right. That is a great intraday play to start out for them. And then today, hopefully, they're continuing that type of play into the pre-market right now. This is a great pre-market activity right now. We got some good volume, up 6.7, worth taking a look at. All right, let's start with what's happening down this morning. Obviously, the elephant in the room, IMRN. Now, this one, guys, we all know what's been going on with this thing. Yesterday, it just went insane, going pretty much from $2, right, when it was the day before, all the way up to 28, almost 30 here. So right now, they're gapping down huge, 35%. Let's look at the action yesterday. So a lot of the pop happened early on in pre-market, then from there, dipped down, and it just took off. You can see how great this thing traded. Some good opportunities here, some good ABCD patterns, but we got these long, pretty white body candles in here as well, creating a lot of the pop. So today, I think it's definitely going to be in play for a possible continuation. Not sure if this is going to be a long or if it's just going to start selling right back down towards the bottom here. Peter, what was the catalyst that caused this huge move on these guys?
So this is an Australian biotech. They had basically released a statement saying that they are developing a COVID-19 cure. But I mean, but they had not yet gone to any type of clinical trials. It was sort of in pre-trial phase. So, it sometimes happens with these things. People got excited. Based on the news I was reading, it was all retail traders, which means that, it was just sort of all speculative. Which is why we're seeing a drop now as the retail traders lose interest and move on. This is what happens, right? Things spike to ridiculous heights, and then they're pulling back to a little bit of reality. So is this reality? I mean, I don't know. So yeah, you're right, Carlos. This could go either way. Keep in mind, we're talking about a less than a 4 million share float. So very, very volatile.
Yeah, I agree. Sitting at 3.4. We're going to throw it down here. It's one of our definitely stocks you want to be very cautious with that type of flow. All right, so what do we have next here? We have the next one is down SSL. This one is down 12%. It's been very active over the last couple of days. Look at the beautiful pop here, breaking out of $5 and heading all the way up to 11, and now giving some back. Now, pre-market, guys, this is looking very ugly right now. Pre-market activity. I'm not seeing anything that looks exciting here. Yep.
Yeah, this is every time I see SSL, I keep thinking secure socket layer, but that's not what this is. This
Me
is
too. Me
actually
too.
SASL Limited. There you
No,
go, which is the South African oil and gas company. So we don't normally trade foreign energy stocks just because, like you said, the price action tends to be choppy and tough to trade.
yeah, yeah. If you look at it a couple of days ago, again, this pre-market action, let me just zoom into it because this is probably the only way you want to watch something like this. This had a beautiful pre-market activity that carried into the open, right? So if you see how great that traded, that's probably the only exception if you see something that clean. But for the most part today, we are not seeing that. This is very choppy all over the place. So again, I'm not going to add it this morning to our list. All right, first airline this morning, Save. So Save is on here, down 7.3, 984,000 shares traded. And if you look at every airlines, they're all going to have this breakout over last week, right? And now there's sort of a pullback over the last couple of 2 days, right? So that is Save. Let's look at the next one. It's going to be JetBlue, right? Very similar chart. Looks like almost I didn't change anything. Here's Delta, same situation. Here's United, and again, they're basically the ones tumbling down this list today. Here's a Southwest, American Airlines, and I think that's it for the airlines. So again, they all pretty much similar a pattern on the daily, but giving a little bit back. So far, I do like United. Delta kind of chopping sideways a bit here. So I think I'm going to go with United and Delta. These two guys, they trade very well. Save is another one you can watch also. You cannot go wrong with any of these, but I think Delta and United, for me personally, I like the way they move. I like their price range right now where they're sitting at. They're really good candidates to watch if you're looking at something with the airlines. What I like about Delta too, look at where Delta is sitting at right now. It has a nice base in their pre-market. They're building this beautiful support over at 32.45. The rest of the airlines are kind of not doing that. They kind of have a bigger range. So I like the way Delta is kind of holding this here. So I'm going to keep an eye on that one.
I'm a little worried about this whole industry because it seems to have been trading on emotion, right? Like we saw American Airlines hit its 1 day single largest percent gain. And it's like, airlines are getting beaten down because they were closed. To me, that was sort of reasonable in the market. Then, okay, they're reopening. Look at how they surged, right? And they were all sort of back up. Industry groups are now saying actually it's going to be a rough year for airlines, and they're starting to move down again. Like it seems like the airline industry is surprisingly reactive to every little bit of news. And frankly, it's not even news. Like we all know that, or at least we should, that airlines are not going to have a good year. Yes, it's better that they're reopening so they can have some revenue, but operating at 50-60% capacity, which is most of them are committing to, is obviously not good for an industry that requires 90% plus capacity usually to have a decent year or at least break even. So I'm going to be increasingly cautious watching the airlines going forward, and the cruise lines, frankly, because it seems like, again, they're trading euphoria. They could provide great trading opportunities. So I would just say, everybody, if you're watching them, watch the technicals, but just always be cautious and maybe have your finger on the trigger because it feels like things are getting increasingly erratic on them.
Yeah. I think Brian was mentioning it when United was just going insane in the chat room. It was just panic buying. There was no reason for it to be moving the way it was on the news that we got, right? But if you look at a lot of the companies, especially the SPY, right? The SPY is basically, let's say you want to put it side by side. The SPY is basically up here somewhere. Right, a lot of the company have followed the SPY up to their level wherever they are, or getting close to where they left off after the drop. Airlines have not, right? Airlines are kind of just sticking around here. They know it's a little bit different for them until people start traveling. So any news, like you mentioned, you get this just this effect where it's just amplified, right? Because the SPY is up here, the SPY is doing well, yeah. And now any little news is like it's just starts to fire right away. So question in the chat room is it smart to buy airlines now that they are low? It depends. You have to have a strategy. I know a lot of people, myself included, we bought in this area here and are looking for the long term, right, year out, to be able to cash in on some of this move. So it depends on your strategy, so on what you want to do. A lot of people expect it's going to come back down onto this 30 level, so we'll have to see. You just never really know. With that said, guys, airlines, I'm watching United, I'm watching Delta for now. I like these two, but also if you like Save is one you can keep an eye on. This one is also very active this morning, and you can see the movement here. And American Airlines is not on this list, but you're right. Look at the pop they had a couple of days ago. They're only down 7.5, 1 million shares traded. No, I'm sorry, that's not American. This is that's Save. American is here. There we go. So American only down 3%. This should be they're on this list now. Some great volume, so you can watch this one as well and see what happens there. All right, next on this list, let's look at cruise lines. We have NCLH this morning. They are down 4.4, also 1.8 million shares traded. Very similar to the airlines as well when it comes to their daily. Again, they've been just hovering around here, consolidating, and then over the last couple of days, a nice big pop. So they're slightly down this morning. NCLH has a great pre-market action. Let's look at what CL is doing today. They both look very good, guys. You can definitely throw those on there. I'm gonna watch CCL this morning, but you cannot go wrong with any one of those two. All right, we have Starbucks in here. Let's take a look at what's happening there. Starbucks is very active today. What's the news on these guys? What's going on with their coffee?
What is going on with Starbucks? I don't know. Let me take a look here. I actually hadn't looked at them because Starbucks, I don't know why. Starbucks and I don't get along. I had some losses on Starbucks early in my trading career, so I sort of just generally avoid it. I don't see any real news on it right now. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's driving, it up or down. I mean, I think Starbucks is. Let's see here. They did update their forecasts, their Q3 adjusted forecasts, which this is why. Yes, so basically they downgraded their earnings on their forward-looking forecast, which is why.
Got
So
it. Got it. That makes sense. Again, you can tell there's something going on here because usually you don't get this type of volume on Starbucks unless there's something happening. And I'm with you on that. This is a stock that I also do not trade very well. The few trades that I have had on it has not worked out. Either I get out for break even because I can't read the price action. It's a little bit tougher to trade, and you could tell that too on their daily. Their daily, although you have the pattern here, drop, reversal here coming back up. Look how their candles form. They're not clean. So it's a very, very choppy stock to trade. Today, they're obviously in play. We have a great level up, which I marked down already here at 87, 80, 80.07, $80 basically. Great level of resistance and possibly support now, but looks like we might be losing that now. So definitely have Starbucks here on this list. All right, guys. Peter, aside from what we have and what we looked at, what do you like this morning?
Well, one of my good old favorites we got to look at is AMD. The semiconductor industry has been sort of moving in waves, and MU, as we know, had some big moves. AMD actually had some big moves yesterday. I didn't trade it as I guess I had my eyes elsewhere.
Wow.
It's once again, if you look at a daily, sort of testing near the all-time highs. It's not at it, like it's got a couple of bucks to go to get there, but if you sort of look, yeah, it's sort of heading back to the level. The all-time high is actually a little higher. There you go. Now you've got it back in February, but it's sort of bringing itself up into that range, which again makes it interesting. I do like AMD because it does tend to follow technical patterns. So we'll see what happens with it. No particular news on it today. And in fact, the pre-market volume is relatively low, but I just like where the price is sitting from a daily perspective.
Got it. I mean, looking at yesterday, wow, look at this. This was a very nice move
I know.
yesterday, and it held that through the entire day. Just came back to the moving averages to find some support and kept going. So very nice big day for them yesterday after consolidating over the last couple of days between this 53 and 52. So yeah, possible continuation above this area of resistance. I like the way this is looking today. I'm going to add it also on AMD. And let's just take a look at MU. So another one you mentioned, MU. Let's look at the day yesterday. Also, got not as clean as AMD, obviously, but also looking okay so far. You was going to mention something else?
One last one to mention, yeah, is Apple. I'm a little surprised. I generally don't like trading Apple, but I keep looking at it saying, geez, I should have, this was a swing trade that should have happened, frankly. But just look at that daily. I mean, talk about a steady drive up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yesterday again was a good day on Apple, where it sort of had some pretty steady moves and a relatively big move overall. So I don't know. Again, nothing terribly exciting news wise for Apple, but it just tends to go. And I often keep an eye on it, not to trade it, but because it sometimes gives me a look at what the market's going to do. If you watch it compared to the SPY, often it'll sort of telegraph those moves a little. Being a large component of it, I find that I can use Apple to understand a little bit where the SPY is going, especially when it starts to move rapidly. Apple often is just a second ahead of it.
Yeah, no, Apple's looking very great right now. Had a good day yesterday, guys, above all this area here, so looking very nice. All right, let's see what you guys have this morning. Let's start with our chat here. Let's come down. All right, so Apple on the list for sure. Edwin is giving us MGM, and we looked at INO already. I didn't like the way it was setting up, but let's look at it again, see if it has changed. MGM this morning, we do have a nice little pop going on here. I do love the consolidation on the daily, though. There's a great consolidation between this 22 and 24. I think it's worth watching, and we're getting some action on it right now as it gets going. So nice big pop here in the pre-market, 612. Yeah, we can keep an eye on this one. NIO, excuse me. Let's look at that before he gave us two there. So NIO, this morning, yeah, this one has 3 million shares traded. Actually, good consolidation here as well. I'm sorry, confused this with the other one we looked at, INO, which I'm always doing that. This one here, guys, looking a lot better. Pre-market action looks great. Had a big day yesterday. Possible continuation if it can get above this previous day close and go green. So yeah, let's throw this on here. All right.
NIO is in that electric car space, and they seem to be all the rage. So if you're building electric vehicles, your stock is getting attention.
Agreed. Let's look at CHWY. So CHWY this morning, this one 154, also has a great daily, guys. Possible breakout here, continuation play. Pre-market though, we do have 154. We're only down 1.1 right here, but the pre-market action is not looking all that exciting. So this has to get a little bit better. It's a little bit choppy right now, but their daily does look good.
Chewy is one of the few that has some people's attention. I'm seeing a couple of others on the list that were earning plays from last night. So they did have earnings. They beat on revenue, but missed their earnings per share. So a little bit of a mixed report. That may cause movement today, but again, being a mixed report, that's why you're sort of seeing it not move significantly so far. Five is another one. They actually missed their numbers, FIVE. I see that's being mentioned on YouTube, so I'll mention in the same breath here since we're talking. Interesting to see it sort of gapping up today, despite the fact that they absolutely missed their estimates. And the last one was GameStop, GME.
Yeah, just want to mention something on this five here. So the question was being asked, why is it not showing on our gappers list? And it's because our gappers list look for anything above 100,000. This is only sitting at 90,000 on the volume here on the shares traded so far. So, but definitely want to look at, guys. Nice big pop here after, as you mentioned, worth keeping on our list here. And we also have a nice movement on it pre-market wise right now. The next one you mentioned, Peter, was GameStop.
GameStop, GME.
GME.
Yeah.
All right, so yep, here's GME, guys. Again, not a whole lot of volume right now. It's just kind of sitting on the sidelines for a bit. Very similar to five. Although five looks a little bit better. You know, had the action last night. Just kind of sitting here, slightly down 5.6. Now, what I don't like about GameStop, it can be very choppy, guys. You don't get a whole lot of volume on it for the most part. So I'm not going to add this one on my list. But if you like to trade this type of stock, you can watch this one today. But for me, this is not one I'm going to have on there. It's just one of those stocks that can be very, very choppy. All right, let's take a look at a few more. I see eBay, I see Facebook. Let's take a look at what's happening there. Facebook right now also doing very well, guys. Facebook is up quite a bit this morning. Not quite a bit, but a big day yesterday, only up 1% right now. But look at the way it's doing it. We're slightly above this recent area of resistance right on here. So this could be a good one. If it can get going here, get some steam, if the SPY can help it, it could be a great continuation play. So I'm going to just throw this on here. I got way too many, actually. I'm going to have to stop here, guys, because we have just too much this morning to look at. I want to look at eBay.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
Yes, we are. 9:05. Yep. So just so much good stuff happening today, guys. A lot to look at. eBay also not great pre-market wise, but again, has a great daily. But overall, not a lot of action on here. All right, guys, let's get over to announcements. We'll come back and we'll look at this list and fine-tune it a little bit further.
Okay, guys, I'm going to run at turbo speed through this. We have a great session coming up tonight on Trader Mind Fitness with Mark Randall. He's joining us to have that conversation. I may have been saying the time incorrectly previously, so it's at 6 p.m. Normally, those are at 8 for us. Tonight it's at 6. He's joining us from the UK, so we're doing it. Even that is late for him, and we really appreciate him joining us. Should be an excellent session. Last night we had a good session where Sanjay took us through a meditation session. It actually was really, really good. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it was a great session. Great he sort of explained meditation, what it was about, its meaning to you, how you can incorporate it into your trading regime, and then actually took us through a meditation session. So that was all great and a great session for those who attended. Next week, I will be talking about on our Wednesday success webinar series about my double top, double bottom strategy, how to trade it, and all the details. So hopefully you'll join me at a regular time of 8 p.m. That's next Wednesday. And then, like I mentioned on our psychology seminars, last night we had Sanjay with us. Next week, next Tuesday, Jonathan Katz will be with us to talk about his Shrink Wrap podcast. It's really an opportunity to answer your questions and go through the things that are on your mind. We always get tons of questions. It's very interactive, and it's always a great session. So hopefully you'll join us next Tuesday, again in the webinar room for that psychology webinar. If you're thinking of joining us and you're on YouTube, you're listening and like what you hear, we do have a lot more content that happens throughout the day. We have live moderators usually, like throughout the day, myself in the afternoon, usually Norm in the morning, but Mike is taking over for Norm during the day. We also have Eamon and Thor who are on, and then Jared joins us to talk about options and give us some insight on that side. But if you want to join us, use the code PREMARKET24. You get a 1-week trial to join the room, see what it's like, see if it's for you. We love what we do, and we got some great members who are very helpful, as well as all the moderators. So give it a try. It's well worth the investment. We're convinced that you will love it if and when you join us. As we've been mentioning for the last couple of weeks, we've got our podcast series that are out there every second week. We release new podcasts on Tuesday, so it'll be next week when we have a new one. We had one last week. Talk with Traders. Just look it up. You'll find our podcast material there. Talk with Traders on your favorite podcast provider, and some great content out there. What we do in the Talk with Traders, just as an aside, by the way, is that we feature all of our traders, because in the room, we are a community, and as a community, we help each other. We invite all those members of our community. If you want to submit your videos for live trades, you may notice on our YouTube channel, we feature our traders who just share their trades with us, tell us what they were doing, how their trade went, good or bad. It doesn't have to be a big winner. It's about learning, right? And you can learn often more from the losers as from the winners. So please, if you're a member in the room, we encourage you to submit your trades because it benefits us all. And we find, in fact, often those that are just honest and forthright, even if they're a loser, often get more views because they're more valuable to our members, because they can learn from them rather than just the, hey, I made this trade and it went up and I made a lot of money, right? That's interesting, but maybe not educational. So for all of our traders, think about submitting your trades to us. We love to get them. And then through to the close, I'll just mention second last thing here, that we have the Market Close Show. It's another live YouTube session. So if you like what you hear in the morning, join us back in the afternoon. At 3:30, we go live with Mike, Brian, and myself to take you through the close. We talk about earnings where they're relevant, certainly talk about live trading. Like yesterday, we were live trading with me through VRM, which was the IPO that I held pretty much right to the close. And it's always we always have a lot of fun, and it's a good time. So please join us at 3:30 live on YouTube, or of course here in the room where we always are. Last thing I was going to mention, that at Bear Bull Traders, we're happy to work with other industry partners, and the Best Trader is happening again. This is a competition put on by Daz, and they have the #1 best trader. We are a sponsor of that competition. It's running in the month of July, so it's time to get ready for it. July 6th through the 31st. And the registration is starting in just a couple of days on June 15th. So if you're interested in registering, consider signing up. You can go to onebesttrader.com, and then there's a registration page. So look it up. If you're a BBT member, look in our room in our alerts. You'll see a discount code that you can get a discount if you want to join that as a BBT member. So take a look at that. Abiel's posted that sponsorship link. All right, with that, we got a ton of levels to get through. I'll hand it back over to Carlos.
All right, thank you, Peter. All right, guys, see a lot of you guys mentioning NKLA. Again, this one is active. I won't be watching this one. I mean, this is a type of stock that can really, if you get caught in the wrong side, can really hurt you. Even with a hard stop, if something like this gets halted, and you get caught in, it's all about timing when it comes to trading, right? You get caught in something like that. it can really hurt your account. So again, I'm going to stay away from this one. Very active. Obviously, we saw what happened over the last couple of days. Yesterday as well, another big range here on the daily. And today we're already seeing 762,000 shares traded with a very active pre-market. And I expect we're going to even get more volume into the open. So, but again, for our style of trading, I am just not going to be looking at this one. All right, guys, let's run through this list. We have probably about 15 or so. Let's pick which ones we want to watch this morning. Then we will do levels. So GUNS, very active. I do like the pre-market action on it. I don't like the fact that they're slightly below $5 here, but we'll see. 13 million shares traded right now. We'll keep an eye on this one. AMC, for the most part, I think this one has some potential. Again, could be one that takes off today, but their pre-market, it's okay. I'm not a fan of it. FOMC, I'm going to remove. I don't like the pre-market action. Again, just kind of chopping around. We do have 212 on it. The daily also looks a little bit funky. Look at this daily here. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Let's get that out the way. Tesla is exciting, guys. I might not keep it on my final list, but I will do levels for it. I think it's a little bit too expensive for my taste, so I'm going to keep it here, though. It has an amazing pre-market activity, and we're looking for this to hopefully crack above 1,000 here. CLDR as well, pre-market action, has a possible potential here to break out of this area, but this will be a good one to look for in the scanners. Pre-market wise, guys, not clean at all. Look at the choppiness we're seeing in here. Again, had a big day yesterday, as you can see here, but for the most part, I'm going to wait for this one to hit our scanner, so I'm going to remove it here, maybe bring it back in our possibles list. VRM, this is an IPO price. I do like, as Peter mentioned, what we saw yesterday on it, what we're seeing now in the pre-market activity. We usually do not watch a stock like this one, only a day and some change of history. But today I'm going to take a shot on this one. Here we have United Airlines and Delta. I think for the most part, both of these are going to be trading very well. We're going to see some kind of continuation today, a bounce or drop. We're already on United. We're creating this beautiful level here at 41.50, so I'm going to keep that. Delta as well, creating a beautiful, nice level support and resistance happening here. Given how big this list is, I think I'm going to go with United, guys. I do like trading United a little bit better, but I cannot miss out on how Delta's creating this beautiful base here in the pre-market, so I'm going to mark that down. If you're watching it now, 32.44, but I'll get rid of it just to make space. But CCL, I'll definitely have an eye on CCL. Very active right now, some good volume. We'll come back and do levels. Starbucks losing this 80 here, guys. A nice area of prior resistance, slightly support here. We're losing that now. You can see a beautiful drop here, so I want to keep Starbucks this morning. I think they're very active and they have some news behind it. AMD also looking great, and AMD has great volume, 990,000 so far. So this is the type of volume we like to see on AMD. So I think we're going to get something good out of them today. MGM is interesting. NIO, guys, again, is active, 3.2. But to read the price action on this stock, I find it very difficult. Also to read the level 2, just because the sheer number of volume this stuff trades. If you look at when this thing's open, the size here, right, the number of orders, it's just, how do you read it, right? So take a look at it. If you keep it on there, look at the level 2. I don't like the way it looks for me personally, so I'm going to remove it from my list. Here is 5. For the most part, they're not really explosive right now, but they are above nicely here, 11% off some good news, leaving this prior area of resistance. We have another peak coming up here. They're not the all-time high, but we have another peak coming up here around 118. So I'm going to bring this one down to a possible, guys. It might not be all that explosive at the open, but once it settles down and it picks a direction, we come back to it and see how that is moving. Here's Facebook, also very active, a nice daily right now. Pre-market is a little bit choppy for the most part, so I'm going to bring it down to a possible. So we'll bring Facebook down as well. And IMRN, let's see how that's looking right now. Again, this one is one that has had an amazing day yesterday. We don't have shares for short for it though. So I'm going to bring this down just because of that, because I think this one might just kind of sell off a little bit today. So I want to keep my main charts on stuff that I can trade both ways if possible. All right, so GUNX guys, GNUX, excuse me, GNUX. So high of the pre-market sitting at 590 here. Above that, you do have your highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. These 2 levels here we can upgrade. I'm going to move this one over to 1175, and this one could stay right here and 956, and then we'll add another one right over here at a 794, right? Then towards the bottom, guys, guys. Highs and lows on the last 2 trading days and previous day close as well. If we lose this area here, let's say we come back down to this previous day close, we have a beautiful level here at 295. Do we have shares for short? We do not. It is on short selling restrictions, but no shares for short with IB, unfortunately. So that might not make our final list. Here is an AMC, guys. AMC looks a little bit dead, but I think for the most part, they're hitting their 200 moving average price sitting on it right now, guys. So I'm going to mark that down. First high of the pre-market at 720 and the 200 daily right now at 703. So I think this is going to be an interesting one today. It can definitely get going. They actually been hit pretty hard, but as things continue to open up, as bans, on restrictions, on gatherings continue to get lifted a little bit here in more states, I think this one can see some room to the upside. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. We have level 720, 742, and also 773 right on here. Again, pre-market not all that exciting right now. It is a nicey stock, so they tend to take a little bit to get going. You might not have the best pre-market activity, but I think this one could be a sleeper today that can get going. Here is Tesla rejecting this high of the pre-market, sitting at 998. So I'm going to mark that down. Big rejection there, coming back down a little bit. Let's see if it can get going. Towards the bottom, we do have a nice consolidation area here between 950 and 925 or so. A couple of days here bouncing back and forth before this breakout. So we'll see where Tesla wants to go here. VRM. So as far as level, guys, you really have the high of the pre-market and the highs and lows from yesterday. So not much that you can mark here, but you can look at your pre-market activity and see here 52 is obviously a level. You can see how many times we tested that one. And then towards the bottom, we have a pretty good base sitting at 51.32, right? So you can see right on here, a lot of support being built at that level. Price action is probably trying to go back there and retest that. We'll see if it's able to hold or if it's going to collapse here. United Airlines, one that's been so good to us, guys, the way it's been trading. We've been taking some really good advantage on this one. Let's zoom in a little bit. So the highs and lows are creating some really good support right over here around 41.51, guys. Great area of support. We tested that 3 times. Including this pre-market activity. The pre-market low is sitting right on there. Below that, we do have 39.78. Look at this one. 39.78 has been tested before when we had this first initial drop, came up here, rejection, right back down. And then towards the bottom of that is you're going to find the level of resistance that we have had over the last couple of months that we have not been able to break out of, right? So every time we had some positive news or the market went up a little bit, it always came right to this level and has not been able to break out of it, except for the last time it did this here. We had a nice little drop, came to it. Once it got above this 33.12, look how great the pop was and how it created this beautiful reaction here. So some good levels towards the bottom, guys. Towards the top, we have plenty highs and lows from the last 2 trading days and the previous day close. I don't think it might get through all of this today. It's a lot of resistance there, so we'll see how it's going to play out when we get the market open here. Here is CCL, very similar to the airlines, guys. Again, another one where the highs and lows are sitting mainly above the price action, so you cover their previous day close as well. If we lose this area of support that is yesterday's low, which is also the low for the pre-market today, tested twice already. Looks like we might be heading right back down there for another test. Let's see if we can break from that. 21.10, another great level here that you can mark on your list. And if we look down, we have another great area also here, very similar to United and the airlines, right? We had the drop, the pop over to this level again, tested it here once, and then one last time before the breakout. So 1915, a level you must have on your CCL. Here's Starbucks. We did mark that 80. 80 was a great area of resistance, possible support, but it has broken down from that. Pre-market low right now sitting at 79.56. So let's throw that on there. And then towards the bottom, guys, if we lose that level, 70.41, you can see some days opening and closing around this area. Not the best daily chart, right? If you look at Starbucks, it is a very choppy daily, but you can see several days are opening and closing around that 78.41, worth marking down. And if we lose that, we're really going to take a dive here. The next level I'm seeing here is 76.77, several days opening, closing around that area, and also bouncing off that support price line there at 76.77. Here's AMD, guys. AMD has a great pre-market action, hitting 1 million shares right now. Had a great day yesterday. Peter took an amazing trade on this one. 57.50 high of the pre-market right now. We do have 59.21, which is, I believe, to be the all-time high right up here before we had the drop in February. And towards the towards the top between these two levels. We do have a spike right over here, maybe a minor level at 58.68. Towards the bottom, guys, highs and lows from the last two trading days. Below the previous day close, though, you do have an area here, which I want to mark down because you have several days, as you can see, bouncing off this 55.43. Great support area when it was consolidating here. When it lost it, it found its way back up above it again, lost it one more time, and then it comes and retested it several times. So that 55.43, you want to have that on there. Here's MGM, big rejection of the highs from yesterday. So right here comes all the way up here, was up about 2 or 3%. Now we're coming back down towards the previous day close, looks like. So price action is stuck between the highs and lows from the last two trading days. Previous day close towards the bottom of the pre-market low right now. If we are able to lose this range that we're stuck in, 2036 could be an area. But right now, this for the last couple of days, MGM has been trading between this 23.88 and what seems to be 22. The few times it has gone below 22, it has somewhat recovered here. So interesting to see what's going to happen in this pre-market action. I do like the way this pre-market is forming right now. We got some really good volume, nice spread, creating a beautiful range at the moment. All right, and we have some possibles, guys. We're not going to get through them today. Unfortunately, we're running out of time as we get to 9:22 Eastern time. Let's look at what our moderators are watching this morning. So let's head on over here. Let's start with you, Peter. You have AMD on your list, VRM, United, and for your secondary, BA, Microsoft, Tesla, CHWY, Work, and Starbucks. So pretty nice list there. Let's go back up. So Jared is watching a few candidates, Apple, AMD, Facebook as well. He's also watching GNUS, CRIS, DKNG. That one has been pretty active over the last couple of days. Let's take a look what's doing now. This is DraftKings. DraftKings daily looks very good, guys. Possible breakout here. GAN, he's watching that one also. Tesla, obviously, is one that's on everybody's list for a possible break. Here's Andrew's list. He's watching CCL, United, CCL twice, and Save. So Save and all the other airlines as well. Lake actually was one that we looked at earlier. Yeah, so Lake is very active, guys. Up 50% right now, 487. This is on our possibles list for us, but again, this could be a mover today. And he's watching AMD, looking great. He's already long AMD in the pre-market, so he's taken several a trade on there. And then Tesla opening range above towards 1,000. All right, what do we have? Eamon is watching Apple, AMD, and Brian, DPW, already in a trade there pre-market. Nice. Looking forward to hear how that went. Lake, American Airlines, Oxy, VXX, and also CCL. All right, excellent, guys.
DP, just on that DPW, we didn't talk about it. Brian took a trade, as you mentioned. It is a low float. They've got news of a new contract. You can see that the price is up 240% with 18 million shares traded. So this is definitely a very active low float for anybody that's interested in trading those.
Yeah, I see it now. Definitely, definitely very, very active right now. 18 million shares traded. That's incredible. All right, guys, 6 minutes to the open. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube. We will continue in the chat room trading live. Andrew and Brian will come on now, take us through the open and help us find these opportunities, guys. So take care, trade safe, and we will see you at the close at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Trade safe, everybody. And don't forget this afternoon, that Fed meeting at 2 o'clock, or minutes at 2, press conference at 2:30, which means that the markets could get a little choppy then. So just be aware. Trade safe, everyone.